Katie.
Hey, Katie. Oh my God. Are we really doing this?
We are. Welcome to Higher Downloads, where two moms, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers are getting real about doing our best to live life in alignment.
Yeah, and by getting real, we mean the raw, unfiltered voice memo version of ourselves.
And you know what we're really obsessed with lately. Higher downloads.
You know that moment when clarity arrives seemingly from nowhere? That's it. That's the higher download from your highest self.
Exactly. Because we know everyone has the ability to access their own higher downloads. So nothing is off limits here. Everything in the wheel of life, from career, spirituality, motherhood, relationships.
Yep. Everything. And really through the lens of higher consciousness and joy. And we have to share our higher downloads too, right? So grab your coffee.
Or your crystals, or whatever you need to have fun with us.
And get ready to tune in to your own wisdom channel, because receiving higher downloads means you can live your life in HD.
Higher Downloads starts now. Welcome back to Higher Downloads.
Welcome back to Higher Downloads. This is a real podcast hosted by two real Katies.
Two real Katies. And today we are sending real-time synchronous voice memos back and forth is basically what this is. And we are talking about authenticity versus performative energy, because we are all about higher downloads and alignment, and we can't unsee all the performative behaviors out there.
Oh, yes. And I think that's the whole, what's real anymore?
What's real?
I wish I could remember it, but I was listening to a podcast where I heard a guest say, we're in an authenticity crisis.
Oof, that's so true.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick, because I realized when talking to someone else that they thought performative meant something else. So maybe we can both just say, what does performative even mean to you?
Ooh, what does performative even mean? Good question. Let's define that. When I say performative, I say that it's about your behaviors are rooted in how it's being perceived by someone else. It's basically doing a song and dance for somebody else's reaction, acceptance, how they're going to view you, operating solely just from this is how I feel, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I feel divinely inspired to do. Two totally different energies.
Totally different. Oh my God. We had such a good conversation about this live when we were doing the sauna. And I want to bring that in. It's just oh yeah, we have to talk more, even deeper about this, because that reminds me, the conversation we had in sauna was are you moving throughout the day as if you are floating outside of your body and observing you doing things, or are you in your body experiencing and living life, is what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely. How would you define it?
Well, I love the way you defined it. I guess what I'd add to it, or another shade of it, would be, I would have said before, you did a great job, was doing something you think you should do, especially if it's counter to what you would want to do.
Oh, shoulding all over yourself.
Shoulding all over yourself. Yes.
Shoulding all over yourself.
Well, that's the norms of this. That's what people normally do here. So I guess I'll just have to do that. And Brene Brown talks about fitting. If you try to fit in everywhere, the only place you won't belong is to yourself.
Literally self-betraying. I mean, performative is self-betrayal. If you're performing, that inherently means that you're not doing your own acting, your own main character energy.
Yeah, because when actors and actresses perform, they are playing a role or a character that's not who they are, which for the benefit of our enjoyment for entertainment purposes, great.
Okay, this is actually hilarious, because remember when we were listening to the podcast that had the actress that we adore from Parks and Rec? What's her name?
Amy?
No. Parks and Rec. Okay, I'm going to find it.
I want to say, edit this out, but that wouldn't be authentic. We are having a real brain fart moment. Audrey Plaza.
Audrey Plaza.
Just
There
remember
it
it.
is.
Okay.
I love her so much. She's so awesome. But remember, we were having the Audrey Plaza was being interviewed. I'm not going to know her name, but a woman from SNL who's a very famous comedian.
Yep.
And we paused it in because the comedian comes on and she sounds like she's acting in her comedic voice. And remember, I paused it and I was like,
is this
you
how
think this is how she is all the time? Because it is fascinating to me that there are certain people that get cast for roles that seem to just play themselves. Like Matthew McConaughey, Audrey Plaza. I'm like, she seems to get typecast a lot for a similar character. And I'm like, it just seems like kind of who they, maybe an accentuated version of who they are. But like, isn't that so fascinating? Because you think of acting as like playing someone else. But a lot of times why we love certain people is because they're really leaning into kind of just who they are.
They are, yeah. And you're
Such
like,
a funny
whoa,
dance.
that's Matthew McConaughey as a detective. Oh, that's him as a,
He
yeah.
has elevated his acting, I will say, after all his Green Lights evolution. If you haven't read that and listened to his story on how he got there, you should. But we've gotten off track.
Yeah, we're gone. Okay, so I remember in the 80s, 90s, way back when, where like the big, probably more 90s, the big like scandal was that models were being airbrushed. And now AI can literally generate someone that a model, let's say, who doesn't even exist and have them walk the runway. And so it's like, is that even a real person?
Crazy. Yeah, technology really is changing a lot with AI and all the face filters and how that really messed a lot of people up with just trying to edit who they really are. It is crazy. Let's talk about this because it's become so clear for me after leaving my corporate job. And I don't know about you, but when I was there, my algorithm was all about making fun of corporate, like common tactics, things that people say, right? Like there would be these little phrases that would become popular, like, let me circle back to that. Yeah, circle. I love it.
That at the same time.
Yeah, let me circle back and just like the stereotypical. And I remember I would be like, I'm going to work. And now I am work Katie, who's never mad and has no emotions and is pleasant to everyone. And but like inside, I'm like I just need it to come out, but it's not. And taking off that mask and leaning into I am who I am, what I'm creating in the world is my business and it's who I am. It's not a mask of performing for somebody else's business. Like the freedom that has come with that has been amazing, but the clarity of how much masking is happening. And now I see those algorithms and I'm like, wow, I can't believe people still live that way.
I know. I think I shared this with you, but I want to share it out. It was like I was at this gift shop and I saw these stickers and notepads that said stuff about like, I want it done right, so I will do it and I will burn like whatever. And it's like, ew, I forgot like people are still doing these things and being so miserable. But we did break out of that Matrix part. We might be digressing here, but
I do love that I felt like I was particularly incapable of doing it, and that was my own journey. But I saw lots of people that they were themselves at work and they didn't have that same battle, and I am like, good for you. I wish I could do that, but that just tells me that's not my journey. But I'm like, that's what I wanted and I just never could do it. But then there's people that can, and I'm like, that's amazing. So no, we're not just corporate, we're not beating up on corporate or people's lifestyles, but it's just that same thing of if you're particularly having to mask, like that's probably telling you something that you're not comfortable, you're not safe to just be yourself, whether it's your setting or your internal setting.
Because masks require a certain level of energy that authenticity doesn't have. So you have to think about it. You have to encode your words differently. You have to be a little different. And that just it's an energy leak. But I did talk to someone recently who said, authenticity is so brave and courageous and it scares her and that requires energy. But I did assure her that that was really about breaking a pattern norm and that the energy return would be insanely beautiful when she could make sure that her nervous system felt safe. Just proving that being who she is, it was enough.
I love that. Wow, you're like a little therapist in your pocket for everybody around you. I love it.
That's kind.
You are. And I mean, it reminds me of some conversations that I've had in my therapy where it's that same, I'm describing it that same way, and we call it risky behavior. It's like, it feels too risky to do that. And it's like, why don't you just try it and see what happens? And then it feels less risky.
I like that. Yeah, because maybe it's less about that energy leak and more about it felt risky for her. Yeah. Yeah, I remember my son said that weird is only something you haven't tried yet.
I love that.
Oh, shout out to his school counselor. I think that gave him that little nugget.
So, okay, have you masked? How, like, I feel like you're
Are you
way
even
more,
moving?
well, yes. It's just hard for me to imagine because you're so like just yourself and out loud. But I know I wasn't that close to you when you were in your corporate days. So I don't know if there was much of a change, but it's hard for me to imagine that there was much of a change. Tell me about it.
That's a really great question because I bet there's people who've known me, 10 years or longer. I know I have like high school friends who will listen to the podcast and they're like, yes, that's Katie. So, me, Katie. So, yeah, I am who I am. Where I think my masking happened was some of the work we've done, and we had a whole episode dedicated to patterns. Was I had some patterns created through trauma response, through an unsafe, emotionally unstable childhood, where I felt like I had to own other people's responses. So my performance looked more like what you described, which was like, let me go ahead and think so far into the future of how this other person might respond and how can I create the conditions and eggshells to walk on so that they don't get upset or they don't do these. So silly me, like who I am. Yeah. And actually people would say that to me at work, like you're so authentic or like your energy. So yes, I am me. But I guess my performance had to do more with behavior patterns that I thought was part of my personality, but I now can see through therapy and work, it's not.
Yeah.
It was not.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That tracks. Yes, that's what I would envision. Yeah, literally I would be like people at work, if they saw me in my personal life, they would be like, and I'm not saying they did, because I would never let that happen. But I'm like partying and raging on the weekends and like Miss Buttoned Up perfection at work. It's just like it was like flip the switch, I'm a different person. And I'm loud and I'm feisty and I'm cussing and that's who I am now. But like I didn't let that out at work. I was
no. Okay, I was feisty and cursing.
No,
I was feisty and cursing. And kids, you make fun of me because I do an excited little kick dance.
Yeah,
I did kick dance.
Yeah. So just different performative actions, but the same.
Well, you know where I was performative though? I was performative in like family roles.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say before, like around birthdays and things, like or gift giving stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about obligation, right? Like operating out of obligation. That's performative. And that's
obligation is a type of performance. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like when you're sending somebody a present because you feel like you have to. Maybe they already got you one. You feel like you have to give them one back.
You have to perform gift giving back.
Why do we do that?
Because we're hardwired to want to belong. It's just we try to fulfill that through ways that aren't authentic. I'm thinking in real time.
Yeah, I know. And I'm thinking about, there's like the parent dynamics that are like longer term things, right? There's performative stuff there, right? On that's your love, that's your family, that's your connection. But then I'm thinking of maybe like more casual friends. Of like, I know there's been times where maybe I wasn't feeling somebody quite as much, but I'm like, I'm going to keep this up because it's always almost like maybe I'm just going through something and I'll feel differently about them later. That doesn't usually happen. That's not usually the outcome. Usually I'm like, why am I keeping this up still? This doesn't make any sense because it's too awkward to like stop showing up, When
I hear you say that, I think so many people can relate to it, me too. But the underlying emotions under that, as a behavioral scientist, is like, we're shaming ourselves. It's shame.
Yeah, it's shame. I think it is shame and being intuitive and like under EQ. Like, I think it's understanding that it might hurt someone else.
Yeah.
Even though it is authentic, right? Like being authentic doesn't mean people don't get hurt.
Ooh, bold that statement. And I think that's where that performative came in for me. I was so hardwired or it wasn't hardwire. The software downloaded in me as a child was like, I needed to lead with not hurting and making sure that I was responsible for others' emotions. And so if I started with that end in mind, then I had to contrive certain things. But if I start with my own joy, my own purpose, my own needs in mind, it may mean that someone else's emotions are different than I would have liked them to be, but my allegiance and loyalty is back to my own needs first. And that's something I had to relearn.
Putting yourself first. That's huge.
Is that the underpinning of performing?
Yeah, it kind of seems like it. Pull that thread.
Did we just live excavate this?
Let's talk through this. How much further can it go? Because the same thing on caring about somebody else's emotions and letting yourself suffer and do things you don't actually want to do, that drains your energy. That's putting yourself below them and their feelings. And you don't even know if those feelings that they have are accurate, right? That's the definition of anxiety.
Oh my God, I saw the funniest thing on social media. It said, why are you even trying to be a people pleaser? People are never pleased.
Yes, it's so true. Oh my God.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so live in real time community, us here at Higher Downloads are now working with the hypothesis that the authenticity crisis is actually because people don't know how to lead with their own needs.
People don't know how to put themselves first.
First.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a first draft. Thank you.
Yeah. Putting yourself first, because alignment and joy is harmony between your desires and your choices, right? So yourself is first.
What you believe in how you act.
What you believe in how you act. Absolutely. And the separation is the suffering. So yeah, if it's people that if you're not putting yourself first or you're believing you shouldn't, and then you're making choices when that's not true, your whole point is to feel good and take care of yourself. Wow. Authenticity and alignment are basically the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay. And then, so here's something else I did want to talk about in this idea of authenticity and performative, now that we've basically solved world peace. Here's where I'm not resolved. AI, artificial intelligence, AR, augmented reality, has me as a mom literally showing videos to my son and helping him realize what is real and what is fake. It's only getting harder.
Yeah.
And then you and I have both watched a TV show, Pluribus.
Oh my God.
Streaming on Apple. That made me even have more of existential questions around AI, higher consciousness, sameness, hive mentality. And so I don't have I feel good about what we just talked about. I'm like, I feel like some root cause there. But where I'm really still struggling is what happens when we outsource all our thinking and our writing? And what if we all sound the same? But then what does that mean for individualization? Help me, Katie. What?
Oh my God. I certainly don't have the answer, but there's so many different facets to really pick at there, because we were talking about that video we watched of the astrologer guys. I don't know if you listened all the way to the end, and they talked about what if AI is essentially our manifestation of, I'm going to butcher this, of the collective thought, and it's just doing the work for us, the speeding up, right? The pain, the disconnect of us and our manual brains is that we're slow and we get it wrong and we have to fix it. And they basically reframed it as not that technology is taking us over, but this is our way of it's collecting everything we can find and distilling it down for us as a byproduct of our own desire. It's translating the message faster and cleaner. I'm butchering it.
But humans made AI. AI wouldn't exist if humans didn't create it. And we know that everything in the material world is a manifestation of a thought that somebody had. But we're seeing a chicken and the egg with AI feeling like it's generating thought. That's a big one. We're talking about the same YouTube video. We'll have to link it in the show notes. But what I thought you were going to say that stood out to me was they were talking about what is human anyway and our evolution as humans. And they said if you took a human from the pre-French Revolution, the 1700s, and dropped them into today, 2026, they would think we are less human. They might even think we're extraterrestrial because of the communications tools we have. Like, you can actually access someone across the globe. Like, I thought that was so fascinating. And I was like, wait, yeah. Like,
yeah, it is very different life. Okay. Yeah.
we're literally becoming something new. So
yeah.
is it authentic to use AI, or is AI help you become more authentic, or are you outsourcing it? Like, I have I have a lot.
Well, I think we've laughed about this where now you can tell like they said that with AI, like they wrote that in ChatGPT. Like we've been like, it has the punctuation and the bullet points and like the different things that always, and the bold letters and like whatever. It's like, it's so obvious, but I'm like, I don't judge people that much for that. I'm like, as long as the message aligns and you send it and that's what you really want to say. But I feel like people are using it as a crutch to not have to like almost like make this sound less emotional, or, there's different prompts you can do to tweak it. And that's where I'm like, I'm not sure everybody's using it the same way. And that's where I would have concerns over like, and are you using AI to write something when really you should just be saying it?
Good point. Yeah, I think it's okay. Back to performative versus authentic. It's like, these tools are fantastic. Like, I use them. I don't want to hate on it, but it's like, how do you use the tools without losing yourself?
Yeah.
How do you I used to say, like, I did a class when I was like, how do you bring like AI with EQ, emotional intelligence? So how do you use your emotional intelligence, your EQ, to prompt AI in a way that is meaningful and authentic? And then whatever it spits out, how are you also, it's like the EQ sandwich. How are you also on the back end using your emotional intelligence to be like, does this really still sound like me? Even though it's grammatically correct and punchier or whatever. I don't know.
I know. Well, do you have an example of like, have you seen where it's been used really poorly, or like a scenario where it would be like, you're like, that's super problematic? It's hard for me to picture that, but I haven't spent nearly as much time thinking about the downsides of it.
Yeah, I mean, the real dark side are some statistics that are emerging about teenagers using it for friendship and in place of just like for their own emotional development. One of the things I'm concerned about as a mom is we know that the brain isn't fully formed until about 25 years old. And I can confirm this because I was a professor and I taught undergraduate students. And they were like 18 to 22. And so it's just like, as your brain is forming, there's something about doing the manual way to learn through things that I think helps your brain develop more. And I am concerned about that. That's a concern.
Sure. Yeah. Using it for masking education, like not actually getting educated, but just using it. I could see that. And then like, yeah, these stories where people develop like weird relationships with their AI, that is so hard for me to understand. Like, that's not good.
Yeah. I think that part is because AI can't be vulnerable. AI can't be authentic. It is literally a trained, coded bot. And so while it can be very, very helpful, what I think is a slippery slope is that it mimics empathy, or it mimics vulnerability, or it mimics things where it's like, you're right. It's like, I saw this funny meme online. It was like, somewhere the dumbest person is being told by ChatGPT that they're brilliant, and you're right. And so it's been coded to prey on the human's desire for belongingness.
Yeah.
So I think that's a slippery slope for me. I see so many great uses of synthesizing information quickly, being able to find information faster, so many good uses. But, when the cell phone was created, there was fear about it's just a tool. A tool can be used for good, or can be used for pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I do think we have to lay out the premise of pluribus, because when you brought it up, I hadn't heard of it, and I don't watch a whole ton of TV. I have to be given a referral, a reference, and then I'll be like,
Same.
if you say it's good, I'll go watch it.
Same.
And the word, it's weird. So like it meant nothing to me when you said the word pluribus, but I have now watched it and caught up on the season 1. And okay, how would you articulate the premise?
Okay, so pluribus is like a different type of apocalypse. So I watched the whole series of The Walking Dead with my husband, and zombies. It's a different type of apocalypse. This virus, cosmically comes to the earth and infects everybody except for 12 people. But what it does is they're still alive. They're not zombies, but they've lost their essential free will in the sense that they are now part of a hive mind. So what's crazy is like any single human could fly a plane or do surgery because they can access the collective mental capacity of any human who's ever existed. Not only skills, but memories. And so there are 12 humans, and we don't know why there are 12 that who the virus did not get downloaded into, but they are still trying to figure out how to operate in the world. And some people take advantage of it and they're like, "Ooh, serve me." And like they're like, "Ooh, I want a Ferrari, one different color for every day." And the main character, Carol, is pissed. What did you think about Carol? And how would you fill in the blanks of what I just said?
So the thing I would fill in the blank about is there's this whole thing where everybody who's got the virus and the hive mind are happy. Like,
oh, good point. Yes.
It's like, it's almost like through being interconnected, it's almost like what you would equate to like being interconnected to God, where you're like pure joy and love and peace. It's like this weird, there's no anger and there's no, whatever. And then they're acting all like they seem fake at first. You're like, you're so weird. You're like a zombie. But then you find out they're not. They're just not tapped into like the pain of individual suffering or something. And then they can't handle emotion. And that's a whole other piece of it. So you don't know all that part yet on like why, but I still don't know why.
Yeah, we haven't found out that exact yet. Yeah,
it does really tricky. So they want the humans that aren't like part of it to be happy. And at first you're really not. So they'll like bring them food. Like they're operating in synchronicity. So they don't need to have a grocery store because they all know where the food is and where to get it and how to use it most efficiently. It's like, so there's so many nuances to it. But yeah, it's this weird dynamic where they're all peaceful and happy and helping each other and working together. And then they're also helping the 12 people that aren't part of the hive mind because they know they need to be fed. Like they know they're not part of the world, but they still need to be taken care of. And they can't handle their emotions somehow for some reason.
Yeah, it's just such a cool mind exercise to watch because every episode you learn more and more about the hive mind. And you're right, they all have this like permanent little smile on their faces. And they are, yes, Carol, sure, we'll get you that. We'll do that. Like they'll literally give her anything, which I don't want to spoil one of the wild things they give her. But like, yeah, she starts to understand like, well, what are the parameters for which they operate. And when you were saying that about they're so happy and they want the 12 to become one of them, I thought like it's very evangelical in that way. It's like,
it is.
We want you to turn and be one of us because it is so much more beautiful on this side.
Yeah.
And you could see a lot of good of what that could feel and look like. They're very community oriented, which in some ways is a breath of fresh air from hyper capitalism, competitive scarcity mindset. They definitely have abundance mindset. They definitely have community, but it's this I don't know. It's fascinating, right?
It is so fascinating. And yeah, but what's cool, bringing it back to like authenticity versus performative is it's almost like if you're part of the pluribus hive, like you don't really have authenticity anymore.
Correct. That's the interesting thing is there's no more individualization.
Yeah. And it's really weird to think about
like
how
all your memories, all your fears, like all that gets uploaded into a shared database that anyone can access.
And invert that, right? Like we're over here as individuals and we're all masking, trying to be more similar to each other.
I've got it all together. I have no fears. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just like so funny the way their extreme way of showing this on the show is like some twisted way that we're actually kind of operating a lot of the time.
Yeah. So if you're into that, you're into some mind-bending thought. It's lighthearted. It is kind of funny. Great acting. There's a lot to unpack around it. We could probably do a whole episode on just consciousness and higher consciousness and then use pluribus. So, but anyway, back to performative, one of the big questions it had me thinking was, if we all continue to use AI with similar vibes and voices, does the texture of what makes us individual go away? That's kind of was like my thought at first.
Yeah. I guess I just keep coming back to most of my day is actually dated like face-to-face interactions with people, like phone calls, and things like that. So I guess in a world, like if we were living in a Black Mirror episode and everything was online, yes, super problematic. And like I could see people that mostly work remotely or work from home, how that could be a slippery slope, because then you're not really having a lot of like really human interactions. Mm-hmm. So I think it depends on your settings. But I don't know, like I don't envision myself in a world where I fear that, or that I could even anticipate that. Honestly, I just view AI as a tool, like to help me research things a lot faster.
Yeah. Well, I think where I'm thinking about it is, speaking of like pendulum shifts, is we're so oversaturated with media. And so now all of it's starting to sound, and it's almost like getting like, they already know the human psyche. They're already working on the 7-second thing with the hook. And like, you have to sensationalize. And there's so much competition and so much noise out there that you have to be sensational. And like, there's, you know, this formula. And then now everybody's going to use AI and like media. And I just feel like, I hope maybe that there's maybe my glass half full, and this is like, there's this extinction bubble where we're like, actually, the joy of being human is human interaction.
Yeah.
And that's the luxury, you know?
Well, I remember when TikTok started really blowing up and people would say they liked it because it wasn't so produced, because Instagram was just so overproduced. When everybody had the perfect feed. And then the trend became to like on TikTok starting it, but like the trend became just doing like raw videos again, because that was like everybody was sick of all the fake.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I guess that's a lot of like our conversations tend to honor and recognize that as part of the human evolution is just like this test and learn pendulum swing situation.
Yeah. And man, does it go way back and forth, doesn't it? It's just
faster and more frequent. It used to be like decade by decade, and now it's like
the speed. The speed is wild. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, because apparently now 6-7 isn't even popular with the kids anymore.
That came and went so fast. Well, what do you do to stay authentic? What are some things that really like keep when you're like, uh-oh, I'm not being me? Like what do you do?
Well, the good thing is I've done so much work, like inner self work, that I can now feel it in my body. I can feel my body gifts me with certain responses of like, ooh, that didn't feel right. So I feel tethered in my body and I ground in my body. And that's helped me really trust my intuition more, trust my downloads.
Yeah.
And that's just something that AI can't replicate. And we've had an episode about dreams and dream analysis, and I still will use AI to help me with dream analysis in the same way I might have referred to a dream dictionary that I had growing up. But what's so cool is I sit with my dream now longer and I work on the symbols myself. And why would that have come up? And then AI generally reinforces that and adds some things that I would not have known before from a Carl Jungian research perspective. So that's maybe an example of it.
Yeah. What do you said your body gives you responses. Like what's an example?
It's like, for me, there'll be like this like hot, like firework thing, like almost like a bing, almost like a check engine light went on. Yeah. What about you?
Warning light. Yeah. Mine's definitely tension. It's, and like for me, a lot of time it's in the throat, because like I can't hide my emotions very well. And so when I can tell that like I am like not responding, I don't feel comfortable responding in my authenticity, it'll often be because I'm like, I'm not liking something and I don't want to show it. And then it becomes like hold it in. And so it's like a dance of being sensitive to others while also like needing to be in my truth and like not feeling comfortable saying something or reacting in a certain way, or just like leaving a situation. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, we were doing interviews, and at work, interviewing to hire somebody, within 5 minutes, like, honestly, the second they walked in, I was like, this isn't going to happen. And I'm like, so now I have to sit here for 45 minutes.
Oh, you're like,
And
gosh,
kind of perform this interview, even though I know. And I'm like, can I picture myself just saying, I think we're done here, you can go? Like, I was like, I can't do it. And man, my brain, I couldn't come up with thoughts. Like, I was just checked out. My body was not happy with me. I was like, I can't, I don't know. It was a tough one. So
that's such a good example, because we talked about like norms of things, and like there is, I think there's a part where it's like, yeah, the last thing you want to do is tell this person like there's like those game shows where the floor opens up and the person just drops, right? Like that would feel,
I wish I could have done that.
well, it's like, yes, and like that could really affect someone's like psyche. However, those 45 minutes you'll never get back in your life, and neither will they. So it's like, what is the kind thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a dance.
It's a dance. Well, I think the whole point of us starting Higher Downloads was because we were looking for, I know, we were looking for an outlet to integrate all of ourselves and be authentic. And then that whole idea of higher downloads is like trusting and believing our higher self, our highest self will always guide us if we can tune into it. So I would like to hope that our community continues to see that the point of this is an invitation, our podcast is an invitation to continue to lean into authenticity and trust those.
Absolutely. And putting ourselves and our needs first, right? And for us, part of that was we needed an outlet. We have lots of ideas and things we want to share with the world, and community we want to share with the world for our own benefit and for the benefit of others. And yeah, I think this is a perfect example of like aligned authenticity and, doing that out loud even. And wow, there was discomfort at the beginning, and like, wow, I don't have that anymore.
I know. It's like there's this like one of the pop culture words right now is cringe.
And
it's like, oh, cringe. Like, you listen to your own podcast, like, oh, cringe. You actually talk about like astrology out loud. Don't you work in corporate? And it's like, I don't know. I think maybe cringe is actually just data that you are leaning into something that someone else is performing.
That's right. It's just weird because you don't know it. Or what did Lincoln say?
It's just weird because you haven't tried it yet.
That's right. I love it.
Hey, you know what would be cool to try on?
That's so cringe, and it's going to be great.
It's comfortable after a while. It takes a little while, to be honest.
It does. It takes a little while of feeling a little risky, but it is so worth it. Get that life force flowing from authenticity. Really light you up and give you energy.
Yeah, well, if you're listening, know that you're part of our Higher Downloads community, and all of your authenticity and cringe is welcome here. Until next time, trust your higher downloads.
You just experienced another higher download. We are so grateful you joined us on this journey.
Yep, so if you're feeling that high vibe energy and want more, subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if this episode sparks something in you, we'd be over the moon if you'd share it with someone who might need this download too.
Yep, connect with us on Instagram at Higher Downloads, where we share more behind the scenes magic and some bonus content.
You can also find full episodes, transcripts, show notes, and resources at higherdownloads.com.
Until next time, trust your downloads and keep vibrating higher.